my name is Salty, and I'm a motorcycle addict. Welcome to tonight's meeting of degenerates and a few honorable, uncorrupted souls, but that is still up for debate, which would make this political. So, I'm back again with a special guest edition of Chopper Talk. Let off that throttle, pull in the clutch, put on the brakes, sit back and relax while we look at what I conjured up on Fast Friday episode from within the Badger set. A different type of hole. Don't forget this off season. Please remember those of us riders suffering through winter with PMS, parked motorcycle syndrome. Our bikes suffer too. I'm still trying to convince my wife motorcycles are a good financial investment. She doesn't agree, but I may have just conjured up a way that she may be somewhat of agreement of it in aspects of choppers. I will not forget to unrestrain her after and ask her if she is more sociable. If not, I'm willing to trade one basket case for another. Maybe you'll have better luck with her than I do. Let's sit back and talk about motorcycles, a lifestyle. It's all about adventure. Most of all, remember, chopping it easy. If I wanted to ride something easy, I would have called your girlfriend. This special guest edition of Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road is coming to you live through StreamYard on YouTube from the Badger set and streaming to you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. So my kids have no excuse to miss an episode unless, of course, I just plain bore them. And if that's the case, I understand. Moderators control the trolls and engage upon with politeness and positivity with an added dash of sarcasm and ill-mannered humor to enlighten the rest of the inhabitants of the chat. If that troll makes the choice to re-engage the moderator or myself, it is his choice to carry on or terminate. If it is directed at another member of the chat or that person is not present, or if that statement is vulgar or threatening, terminate. Otherwise, try to de-escalate before dropping the hammer. These are the rules of engagement. Without further ado, let's get chopping with this episode of Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road. Salty Badger arriving. Tonight's special guest is backstage, and I don't want to keep him back there any longer, so we will start this evening off. Tonight's special guest on Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road is JB of Can't Stop Vintage Racing, a racer, motorcycle enthusiast. He's going to join me and we learn about his journey on two wheels. All right, how you doing, JB?
Doing good.
Thanks for coming on the show. I know we talked a little bit backstage, but I definitely appreciate your time and you coming in and tuning into the show and becoming a guest. We're going to start this evening off with the first question that I had asked is, when did you start riding?
I started riding back in about 2011. It was on a sport bike, R6S, and that began my journey on two wheels. I think like one time before that, I was on I've been on little bicycles, but dirt bike. One time I went into the handlebars and I was like, I'm done. More dirt bikes are not my thing. And I've ridden on the back of a couple of motorcycles, but my first bike that I picked up and rode home with no experience, no class, no nothing was my 07 R6S.
Okay, that's good. That's a good way to start. I mean, dirt bikes,
yeah.
dirt bikes, they're more forgiving than a street bike. I mean, even it hurts when you fall and you hit, but they don't hurt. You don't get the asphalt burn or the roughing.
Right.
So,
right.
So what was your very first kind of memorable motorcycle experience? What was that?
Oh man, I don't know. You get a lot on two wheels. You get a lot of memories, man. Every trip is memories. I guess like I don't know if you want to go back to the beginning. My most memorable thing is like the I don't know. It was like the second day I had the bike. My guy had an R6 and he came by. He was like, "Hey man, let's go for a ride." I was like, "All right, no problem." And we legit went a couple of back roads into the interstate, and I'm trying to keep up with him, and we're doing a buck 20, and this is with zero experience. So it was crazy. It was totally wild, man. But I've had a lot of good experiences on the road. Just period. Yeah, it's just a whole lot. But I think that would probably be like in the beginning stages, like my most memorable thing, other than a accident that I'll never forget. Yeah,
Right. That's just awesome. That's the way that we kind of get that motorcycle life going,
yeah.
is the memories and things like that. So, who would you say is your biggest influence in regards to motorcycles?
Whew. Um, I would. It's so many people that's kind of been in my life. That's come in my life. My cousin, I would say he was like an early uh, in like an early years. Like I said, about the time I did ride that dirt bike. But every time he would come down to Myrtle Beach Bike Week, he would stop by the house and he'd take me a ride on his Hayabusa at the time. So we're talking like this is like 99, 2000. Like boosters just came out. He had two, one for race, one for street, and he would take me for a ride. And so I think him in early days is kind of getting me to that adrenaline rush of the speed. And then watching these guys out here, GQ, K Solo, the young lady out in Cali. I'm trying to think of her name, but man, she just bought that blue bike, the new bike too. But yeah, it's just a lot of people all over, and even like my mentor Randy, Detroit, just especially the vintage stuff, and that's kind of where my life is now, hung up in and loving it. But it's just a lot of people that's in this motorcycle community, man, that really inspire me to do different things.
Yeah, the motorcycle community is huge. The
Oh
way
yeah.
that they help everybody out, they accept everybody, they do things that everybody else can do, and all that stuff. So, what was your first motorcycle? You said it earlier that started it all off.
It was a '07 R6S. That led to a because I was in the club, just getting into the club, and so for membership purposes, I had to go to a bigger bike, and I went to a V Star 1100, and then to a '08 Road King, and then from that, I went to Street Glide. So I had a 18 Street Glide, 19 Special, and now my big bike is a 19 Zero, and my race bike back there is a 42 WLA. So it's evolved since that first bike, but yeah, that first thing was the adrenaline rush of the sport bike.
That's it's huge. That is, sport bikes are fast, man, but I just they're not the same as a cruiser at all.
Not at
Uh,
all, not at all. Because
definitely not.
so I'm gonna
So,
tell you a quick story about that. Like
okay,
you saying that. So I actually I told you so. I bought my sport bike. I took I bought the bike. Then I went to the class. So I bought the bike February. Went to class in March. April, the club had a ride like 3 hours from where I was living at the time in Fayetteville. So I ride up there. My late wife, then girlfriend. So we rode 2 hours to her parents' house, an hour to the destination to do a ride, which was another hour out. So we were totally on the bike for like that day. One direction was like about 5 hours total. So we got to her aunt house in Fayetteville, and like I just crashed out. Like I did not know riding a motorcycle would wear you out like that. And so the next morning, that night we would get down to her parents' house way after they did because they went straight back. They were on a '02 Road King. So they went right back. They weren't even phased by the ride. It was only like 3 hours for them total. And so the next morning, my father-in-law goes, "Here, take the Road King out." And so I take the Road King out, and I'm like, why didn't nobody tell me before I bought the sport bike?
right.
I was totally upset. I was like, man, how can I get out this sport bike? How can I get me a Road King tomorrow? So yeah, it is two different worlds, but love both of them dearly.
Yeah, that's huge
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they did that. What when you had your sport bike, did you do? like big rides too, or like group rides and stuff like you do on a
Yeah,
on a
yeah,
on a,
yeah. When I was in, I bought the sport bike. I was in. I bought that bike in 2011. Um, with about, I think that bike only had like 4,000 miles on it. And by the time I got done in 2013, because I didn't ride much in 13, but in 2013 I got rid of it. I had the V-Star by then, but I had 32,000 miles when I traded it in on my first Harley in beginning of 14. Man, I rode like that. I did group rides. I mean, I rode to Jacksonville. I've rode everywhere, like on the East Coast, from Jacksonville up to Virginia. I was like all the time, every day I was on the bike. If it wasn't raining, if I got caught out in it, but other than that, every day after work, like I was always on it, always.
so what would you say is your biggest hurdle that you've encountered in regards to motorcycles?
My biggest hurdle would have to be even getting back on a bike. Like I alluded to earlier, one of the things I'd never forget on a motorcycle would be accident I had back in 2016. I lost my first wife in an accident. We hit a horse on I-20. She passed away at the scene, and I had some injuries which I still deal with to today. Actually, nerve damage, and I can't lift or extend my fingers on my left hand because I don't have my wrist. But getting back to riding, man, it took me like a year and a half to even get on a bike. I had a friend I was going to hang out with, and I would play with the bike a little bit, just play with the clutch, just pull up the bike a little bit under power. And but then just getting back on the bike was rough, man, because I even dealt with like some serious anxiety, like just come down. I'd be driving the car, and just the PTSD from the accident, just type of stuff, I would just freak out. And then once I actually got on the bike, I literally had to ride a lot of places by myself because I didn't trust being like in the pack or anything like that. So I kind of went solo for a little while, but just getting back to riding after that accident, it changed my life in so many ways, and especially with riding.
Yeah, I could imagine. Sorry to hear about that. That's a huge thing, and I mean that's a
Yeah,
big thing to overcome, having an accident like that and then getting back on two wheels.
yeah.
Um, is that you said you have some nerve damage too? Is that which hand does that affect?
Oh, so that is my left. It's clutch hand, of course.
The cl-
So yeah, so I can't lift my wrist or extend my fingers. Uh, and it's just, yeah, damage is. So I have two plates in this arm. This was broken radial bone, upper, broken two different places, and out of socket a couple times. So my arm looks like a baseball from surgery. Pelvic fractures, ribs, that type of thing. So it's been it's been good, but you learn to as I was talking with Pastor Jim, the other day, it's like one of those things that you just gotta pull up by the bootstraps and keep going. If it's something you want to do, you just gotta find a way to manage. And my thing has always been with this is I was faced with a decision to do a surgery, and it was like 50-50. And I was like, if it's 50-50 and I'm already functioning, we ain't doing
yeah,
it.
yeah. You
So,
you never know if it could be worse, and you don't want to come
right,
out
right.
worse.
Exactly. I don't want to lose what I have. So I know what I can do. I'm just going to fight to and figure out how I'm going to make this work. And I've made
So
it work. I made it work.
how's
Yeah.
that work on your street glide
The
riding?
glide.
Right,
So it's crazy. That's been a long experience too. So my first bike, back to riding. I had a 18 Street Glide, and I was doing stupid research like all the time. I was just so ready to get back on the bike, and so I found where I could have put the clutch and the brake in one hand. I found just little things that would work, and I ended up finding Recluse. Um, and that's what I ended up going with, and that was like the best decision. Being able to put the bike in gear and sit there, don't have to have my hand on the clutch. I can just roll on it, and it rolls. if I needed to come to a stop, I could just come to a stop in whatever gear, and the bike won't stall out. It was just like when I start reading about it and really figuring it out, I was like, this is the route I'm going, because my major concern was not being able to grab the clutch in time in order to maneuver, and the clutch is your friend really.
Yeah.
So that was my main concern. But when I found that the Recluse did it, and that's that's the route I went.
That's a good way to overcome and things like
Yeah.
that. And obviously on your vintage race bike, the clutch isn't really an issue, is it?
Nah. Because once we get in third gear, we rolling, baby. We rolling.
Yep. Yeah, you're just rolling there. Um,
Yeah.
so what was that bike you're riding now? Your main bike that you ride?
My main bike on the street is a 19 CVO Street Glide.
Right, and then
I don't know, it's been parked for the last, I don't know, 2 years. I did a ride out to Cali last year on it. But other than that, the last couple of years I haven't been on it. But it's managed. That one's managed to get to 55,000. So it's been good. Still original seat, original suspension, everything original on it, beside the foot pegs and the handlebars. Yeah.
yeah, that's I mean, original's good sometimes, especially when you want to ride some stuff. If you're comfortable with it, you don't have to detail everything out. And I
Yeah.
think you got enough other projects keeping you busy working on by the looks of it back there.
Listen, listen. I've been debating. I lie to you not. I've been debating. I'm like, this vintage thing is where my life is and where I want to be right now. And I've just been debating on getting rid of this bike, but I'm too close to finishing paying for it, and it's just like, is it worth getting rid of at that point? But so, yeah, yeah. It's a love-hate relationship at this point with that bike, really, honestly.
I can understand that. Definitely. So what got you into vintage racing?
Man, like I said, I met Randy about 4 or 5 years ago. We hit it off. We talked for a while at one of our national meetings with the club, and we stayed in touch. And I want to say this is what 25. So I want to say 23. I think was the first race I went to. Yeah, 2023 March. So that was yeah. So I went to that race, and I was his pit boss that year. Or did I just go to the race? Yeah, no, I was his pit boss that year. So for 23, I was his pit boss, and we did Sons of Speed in New Smyrna that March. I think I made it to Hohenwald, Tennessee race, but then but that was May. So April I met him in California, and that's where I went to Trog. And that's a whole other thing. Everybody's dressed up vintage, and everything's just so back in that period of time during Trog. I was really digging that. And then last year, just kind of I got my bike built. Bought a bike before April, actually. So I went to a race in March, and by April, he told me about a basket case, and that's what this my race bike now is, that basket case put together and on the track since last year. So it was kind of quick for me to get from watching the races and going to a race and actually seeing how it's going, and to being on the track. It was about a year for me. And like when I'm locked on something, I'm locked on it. It's really been fun, honestly, really fun, just learning.
Yeah, looks like you're doing pretty good. Looks like you got a flag back there, and I think you had something else from those races that made it look pretty like you're doing pretty good.
Oh yeah. I got the flag back there, and this was my little guy. I got to brag. This is my Sons of Speed. I won the Legends class a couple of weeks ago in New Smyrna. So it was fun. I mean, and everybody asked me how I feel, and it's a big deal. You find that there's not many people doing this, running stuff this old with no brakes. This all out type of thing. True in the truest form of outlaw racing. We got rules, but it's outlaw racing. This is not down in anything else that's out there that's doing vintage racing, but this is true. If you want to get the purest outlaw racing, this is it. And it's just fun, man. And my thing is, I was told today to bask in it, but you know, it's one of those things like I won that race. That race is over, but I'm trying to, you know, my mind is on the next race. What do I need to do to get prepared for that?
Right.
And that's just how my mind is working at this point. Like I'm in full race mode. Like I was like itching, waiting to get to this race, and then this race happens, and I won both heat races and the main, and then now it's what can I do in Tennessee? You know, when I get on the dirt, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely okay to brag, man. That's a big deal. I mean, you don't. It's definitely not something to act like it's nothing. I mean, bringing home Sons of Speed Legends class. That's there's some legends in that whole thing racing that you're
Man, let
racing
me tell you,
against.
it is I mean, absolute, man, when I tell you, um, this Sons of Speed family is, I don't know, man. There's no words for it unless you are there, experience it, come and see us. And I'm gonna tell you what got me hooked with Sons of Speed, honestly, is when I was at the track with Randy, and I think it was Nate's bike, number 35 Nate. He's out of Florida, Grubbs, but he I think his motor went. And it's like a phone call was made. And I heard another phone call, and the next thing you know, a motor's coming. But within about 15, 20 minutes, the motor that was in his bike was already out his bike and almost tore down to the point to see what failed. And there was a motor coming for him to put in the bike so he can race that day. And when you meet those kind of people, you know, when I was younger, there was a race drag strip down the street from me, but and I would go there, but you know, you don't see guys. I've never known in any racing that would go down and I was actually, no one knew me. I'm at the toolbox. I just happened to be standing at the toolbox. They're like, hand me this, hand me that, and I'm flinging wrenches. So it was kind of cool to be a part of it. And I'm not even really at that point. You know, at that time was really a part of the family, man, and just the camaraderie, man. Even with me, like I said, like I really don't know bikes like that. I'm really starting to learn, and you know, between my guy out of Columbia, Jay, he works on stuff, and I call my super mobile mechanic down in Florida, DJ Derek with Empire Cycle, man. And those guys, like, we're on the phone every day. Like I'll buy a part or see a part, they'll see a part, something I may need, something they talked about, or we may. I mean, that's just how it is, man. Like everybody's just straight up family, even down to Billy, man. My first set of wheels on this bike, um, Billy offered to have them built, and he actually facilitated that, you know, whole thing. So it's no one's big out there, you know. It's truly a family. You know, you might have, you know, some people that might say, hey, you know, this is the crew, and you might have that thing, but at the end of the day, it's one big family, and everybody gets along, and it's just right now racing, man.
Right. Somebody in the side chat, Derek Jordan said, "Be proud. It was a great race. Plus, I seen you wearing that helmet all around after the race."
Oh yeah, for sure. So so crazy about that helmet. So I saw Pastor Jim, and I think he did a post or something, and he posted that helmet. I said, I'm taking that helmet home. And so I kind of had seen the helmet, you know, prematurely, and I was like, I'm taking that helmet. And I told my guy Jay, I said, if I win, I'm wearing it to dinner. And that was the deal. I was like, I won, and I straight up wore it to dinner. People looking at us crazy, like, well, not us, looking at me crazy because I was the only one with a helmet on. But yeah, I did wear it to dinner.
That's nice. So that what's that bike behind you, real quick?
Oh,
The
this
one
guy
close
here.
to, yeah. What's that one there?
That one's a 72 shovel project.
Nice.
That's my top project, man. Like again, two guys I'm working with mainly are have been Derek out of Empire and Jay with MC Park Shack. Um, we talk and throw sling ideas, and it's one of those things. I got it from a guy and it's great. Like you said, this motorcycle community is small. I mean, it's big, but it's also small in a sense. I met a guy. I was going out to the 120, and long story short, I met a guy. We both missed the flight out there to the 120, and he knows Sosa. Detroit had mentioned Sosa's name. I was like, yeah, my guy Detroit talked about Sosa, blah, blah, blah. And then we just got to talking. We sat down and had lunch because we both missed the flight. We both want to be on this next flight together. So we went and sat down at 8 man, and the relationship he and I built, they know him as C10 Glenn, or Glenn from Vermont. And I was at his shop, and then he showed me this project here. And then I was like, man, I'd like to have that. And he was like, yeah, I'm working on that. And then he starts, he's a car and motorcycle guy. He was a builder as well. Built some nice stuff in the magazines as well. And then he calls me up one day, and he's like, you want to still buy the chop? I'm like, yeah, but I ain't got the money right now. He was like, don't worry about it. We'll talk about that later. So we worked something out, and I went up and picked it up. Matter of fact, on my big truck, I had to run to Canada, stop by his house in Vermont. He wasn't home. Some guys helped me put it on the back of my truck, and that's how I got it home. And so I'm leaving some things as it was done. Like, he's already drop seated it. So, but other than that, I'm really in the process of making it my own. So prayerfully, by the end of the year, it'll be done. Yeah, prayerfully, yeah. That's the goal by the end of this year.
That's crazy. So
yeah.
I got a question on vintage racing. What's it like riding around there with no brakes, man? Because I mean, is there ever that time when you're racing and go around that you want to grab the brake and there isn't one?
So at this point, no, because I got in my mind, I know I don't have brakes, but I told some people, like, when I was riding the sport bike, and that's one, and honestly, that's why I kind of transitioned off the sport bike. When I realized that running 90 in some curves that was, on back roads, there was a curve getting on 95 here in South Carolina that I used to take going home. I mean, run 90, 100 mile an hour on the curve, and it didn't phase me anymore. Running 140, and one of my last times I actually rode that bike, I had it pinned back. It was 168, and I literally watched this car, like a small dot, just move over to the left lane in front of me, and I'm like, holy crap. And I was trying to, and I let up off it just to let it slow down, and as much as I could, and then I grabbed it again and flew by the car on the white line at 140 mile an hour. And I knew then, it was like, I have to get off a sport bike. So when I bought when I got onto the big bikes, I still ride that bike even now, like it's a sport bike, even, leaning the curves and scraping, all that good stuff. But so when I got on the track, I felt a lot safer doing the no brakes. But now it's one of those things that I take the tools that I use for driving the truck. I was taught to learn, look 15 seconds ahead of everything that's going on. So I'm looking way down the road. I'm calculating what's going to happen, what could possibly happen. If this person does this, I need to do this, and looking for the out. So with racing, now we're all going the same direction, we have the same goal in mind. So now it's, okay, maybe if he moves up on this line, maybe I need to be ready to let off the throttle and go a lower line, or maybe I need to go a higher line. So to say that, like, running with no brakes, it doesn't bother me, because we're all doing the same thing. We all know we don't have brakes, so we're all being conscious of each other on the track, even though we're all trying to win, but we're all conscious of each other on the track and what's going on.
That's very true. That when everybody's going around, you're kind of all setting the same pace and rolling through it like that. Mm-hmm. So, what advice would you have for someone wanting to get into vintage racing?
Find a network, find the people that's in it to get started. You got to figure out what you want to do in it. There's so much. I mean, we're talking about Sons of Speed here, and that's what I do. You got Trog. They got another set of rules. You have, I've heard of Northeast Vintage Drags, that not sure of their rules. It's one of those things, you got to find what you're going to do, because and it's not a bad thing, but some people are a lot more, strict, where you got to be period correct on stuff to even enter in the race. So you got to find what you want to do. Well, find the vintage folks around you and figure out what you really want to do. Because having a solo bike and trying to do this, and this, it's kind of hard. Honestly, I don't know how Randy does it. I know how he does it, but he run his bike with Sons of Speed, and he runs Trog. And then we took his bike out to last year. We ran Builtwell 100. So that bike's been to Builtwell 100 as well. So it's one of those things you gotta know what you want to do and kind of build toward that direction. Or if you just have a bike that you don't mind thrashing around between all of them and making all the changes you need to make in between races, then go for it. But to make it easy on yourself, purposely build it.
Nice. That's a good thing. Does your family support you in your passion for two
Oh yeah,
wheels? You got
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good team.
It's gotten so my mom was one of those moms said, "You're not getting a bike as long as you're in my house." So I was out of the house ever since I've been like 18, 17, really 18, just turned 18 about a month later. But so my late wife, she was like, I want to be on the back of a bike. She grew up around bikes, and her dad, was in the club as well. So that's been her life, is being around the motorcycle community. That wasn't my life then. And so she was like, I'll make the down payment on the bike. And I'm like, cool, I got the rest of the payments as long as we can get it. So that was her way of getting on the bike. And then that was my way of getting on the bike. So I show up and my mom's like still like real sketchy about the whole deal. Fast forward to my wife, Sean. I mean, like she's a huge support. Motorcycles by far is not her thing at all, but she's there at the track with me. She's wanting to go. She's learning. She knows everybody, getting to know everybody in the community, and she actually loves, especially the Sons of Speed family. Like I said, I can't talk about them enough. And my mom, surprisingly, really wanting to know more about the motorcycling community as a whole, because she sees everything that I was doing, have done, and she's been through the whole thing with the accident and see me go back to it. And so last year, actually, she's been asking me to, teach her how to ride. I'm like, I ain't teaching you. I'll send you to a class because I know there's going to be something I'm going to forget to teach you. And so she's even gotten to riding motorcycles, I'm not going to tell her age, but at her age, she started riding motorcycles, and it's all because of wanting to know, like, why am I so hooked into motorcycles? And so now she's aggravating me about getting her a big twin, so.
Right.
So so the family's definitely there supporting 100, man. My little brother, and that's why I can't forget him, because he's been my pit boss ever since I've been actually racing since last year. And he gets pulled out of school to go, and those are the days he missed out of school to go racing with me. So it's been really awesome. And my sister just got her license last year as well, so it's been really good.
Yeah. So somebody from the side chat asked a good question, so I grabbed it real quick. Is the vintage motorcycle racing friendlier to rookie racers or budget conscious people? Are they kind of accepting for that?
Well, you said for budget conscience?
Yeah, I mean, like somebody trying to do it on a budget. I mean, I know motorcycles and budgets don't get along.
You looking at a budget, bro. Don't get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. We doing this thing on a budget. So I was blessed, honestly, with my build. I told you I bought a basket case. So I had an issue with my frame. My transmission ended up having a crack in it. But the major thing was my motor had just been rebuilt and not even run. So the heartbeat of it was done. So I was able to get it to Hillbilly Mafia. And he actually put the bike together for me on a budget build, but he built the bike like with anything, right? If you got enough money to do this is what you can get, and I'm gonna do the best I can with this, but don't expect showroom quality on a dollar menu budget. You know what I'm saying? It's just not gonna work out. That's just with anything. But this was a super a low budget build, and right now, and it was one of those things. It's like, I got my bike, I'm on the track, and as we go, that goes back to the community as far as getting into the community, and you get the help. Heck, the sprocket I used to win with 2 weeks ago came from Bass Cycles. They just said, here, whatever you need, here, I got it. And I was like, before you leave, let me get you that sprocket. Nah, I'll see you in Tennessee. I'll get it later. That's the family that we have. Now, how long does it take you to get to that point with people? I can't tell you. But for me, it's been, I started being around 2 years ago, started racing last year, and this is my second year. And so, but the community is building your relationships in the community, man. And I'm not saying you won't get stuff for free, because that's definitely going back. But it's the fact that people will be willing to help you get there. And if they see something that you need, they'll let you know, say, hey, I saw this, and I know you talked about this, but we'll help you out. So you can get on a budget. I'm not going to say that build there was honestly probably about 12, 13,000, but that was a budget build. That was, and it is what it is, but I made it work, and I'm just tweaking stuff. Heck, I just bought a fender last week that I'm going to put on it to replace that little quarter fender. It's a full fender. So over time, you get the bike where you want it with anything.
Yeah, I mean, the motorcycles, I mean, there isn't really a way to budget build any kind of motorcycle when you're building. You can go in there saying, I'm going to build this for 5,000, and I can guarantee you anything you think you're going to spend on a build, just double it and you'll be close.
Yeah.
So,
because I'll say this real quick and let you move on. But like even wheels, like I'm on my second front tire, about to be on my second set of wheels on this bike. And then I got a third set of wheels that I'm gonna use for something else. And like I was telling you about purpose-built bikes. So this other set of wheels are strictly for putting brakes on the bike to run it at other events. So it's like you may end up with 2 or 3 sets of wheels. You may end up with a couple of motors, or you might have a spare transmission, or just depending on what you're doing with it.
Right. Yep. Is there someone you would like to share some miles or laps with from the past or present that you haven't been able to yet?
Man, man. Whoa. That just hit a little different. Like,
oh, sorry about that. I mean,
so I had an opportunity last year. Like I said, I went to Bowling Free with Randy, and that was a really good experience. Actually, that was my real first cross country ride. And I've talked to GQ also. And I love what he's doing. I always tell him, like, there's nobody can tell a story like him.
Oh,
it's his story behind his, why he's doing what he's doing and why he's where he is and all of that. So I definitely would love to share some miles. I think I'm supposed to go on that ride with him this year to Alaska. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. Things have kind of changed for me, but definitely with GQ. My guy, 2 guys, like I said, the 2 guys I talk to every day. I would love to go somewhere with Jay and Derek, man. I don't care if it's cross country or a couple of states or whatever. It's just so many people that are close, that I've grown close to now, and some that I've watched from afar, man. Even one of my guys here, he lives an hour from me, and we both drive and we talk every day, but haven't had time to link up. We just want to do that quick run to the Keys and back. But it's a lot of people. I mean, people that's on a big platform to people that's just everyday people, man. And that are around me that I really want to go with my cousin, man. I can't wait till he get a bike. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm taking off and we're going. I don't care. Yeah.
It's always good to ride with family. I mean, no matter what it is, riding with families. You got your motorcycle family, and then but your real family. If you got
Yeah.
flesh and blood, you get out a ride. There's a difference in it.
Yeah, and
Um,
I can't wait till my little brother. He's 12, but he's got a little time, so we definitely gonna hit the road.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna be his big influence. He'll be doing some interview talking about you someday. So
Oh man.
look, looking back at your last season, what was your favorite experience from last year?
Um, my
Oh, oh, you froze. You froze. All right, hold on just a second. He's gonna jump out, jump back in. He froze up. So, I mean, he's got a good story. Everybody, I'm glad he came in. Let's jump over here to the side chat real quick. Wait for him to come in here. Here he's back.
Yeah, so I'm
All right,
sorry. I
welcome
don't
back
know
in.
how something
You're good.
dies on the charger. Like I don't get it. But
It happens, man. No problem.
so from last year, I would say like one of my most memorable moments. Um, I don't know. I had a couple, but I think with Sons of Speed, I think getting on the track and being and Randy and I ran a lap together. At that time, just getting to that point, and he guided me up to even getting me there to Sons of Speed. I think that was one of the most memorable points, and then also um, in October, man, it was just a heat race, and there's people that's known Billy for a long time. I've known Billy through pictures, knowing what Billy's done as far as building that thing he did, with the big build off, biker build off he did, and meeting Billy. And when I won the heat race in October, he was one of the first down to the pits to congratulate me on a win to a heat race, man. And just it like I said, just Sons of Speed family is like no other. That's all I can say.
That's, I mean,
Yeah,
that's true. I hear that a lot. I mean, Billy's a very down to earth guy. I mean,
very, very,
he's
very.
for he's I've known him for I've talked to him a few times for a long time way back, and you know I've he's actually one of my inspirations in building choppers. You know, when I was getting into it, he was one of the big guys doing it. So
Yeah.
he's big in the industry. So out of all the miles, the laps, and the tribulations in riding, what is that one tale from the road that sticks out most to you?
I don't have one, but I can tell you there's one guy that I've ridden with. I think the most miles with on the road. My guy, straight up. Um, we are the definition of a dynamic duo on the road. It's like is like with anybody. Once you get in sync, you're in sync, and I don't have to say nothing. He don't have to say nothing. He ain't got to do nothing. I don't question nothing he does. Uh, He doesn't question anything I do or tell us that we're gonna do, and vice versa, man. And it's just one of those. He's just one of those guys that I can get up any day, like any point in time. I don't care how long we haven't been on the road together. We know each other,
Oh,
and
definitely.
that's just. I would say that's one of the experiences for me is just being able to be out there with somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, that's my wife rides it with me and she rides her own bike, but we have that ride experience where she
Yeah,
knows what I'm going to do in a situation. And when you
yeah,
get that kind of comfort with somebody that you're riding with,
yep,
it's like you're like glue, man, because you can put it in any situation and you know you're going to be all right. You don't have
yep,
to, and you
yep,
don't have to ask questions. You don't question it. You just make that motion because they know where you're going.
yep, yep, yep.
So I mean, that's just a huge way to have it. So what what would you say is your damn I did this moment?
Um, Man, last year, like again, that's one of them things you might have a few of them of, but when I realized that um, I was in the middle of the freaking desert in California, man, running Biltwell 100. But it's for me. So I drive a truck, but and you see all these different geological changes, geographical changes rather. You see all that. Today I may be in Wisconsin, tomorrow wherever. But to go to ride to California, drive out to California, and way out there, and you can see just like when you're riding a bike heading into California, you'll see the mountain, you'll see the road might go through there, and then after a while, this rock is really right next to the interstate, right? But to be out there and see a hill, a ridge or something way out there, and before you know it, you're like, I'm not going up that, and before you know it, you're on top of it, and it's like I'm really out here at the Biltwell 100, run the Biltwell 100. Now I didn't run Biltwell 100. I got through Biltwell 100. I'm just being honest. I was able to finish toward the back of the line, but I was able to finish. But it was just one of those moments, man. It's like I'm really out here in the middle of the desert racing.
Yeah, I mean that's a big race too. I mean, Sons. Everybody sees Sons of Speed. Billy Lane does a great thing with it, but I mean, there's other things like Trog, and there's things like the Bitwell
Yeah.
100 that's been out there for a long time too.
Oh yeah, and let me tell you the caveat to that is that I had no brakes. I could not find a rear wheel setup. I couldn't get it set up in time, and so I called Mike, one of the guys that runs Born Free. I called him up and I said I had a conversation on the back end. I'm like, hey, can I do this with no brakes? He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. I'm like, you sure? And so I got out there and I start going, and it's just like I had some moments. The last ridge you got to go down is like I really got to do this with no brakes. When I say I had to do it with no brakes, it was the worst ridge to go down, the rockiest. And there's a young lady less than 50 feet in front of me in the middle of the path, in the main path that you would go down. And I came over too fast thinking because the last three little ridges, they were like nothing. You get up to them, it looks like it just drops off, and it was just a little roller. And the last three were like that. And I got this one, I was like, oh, that's like the last ones. And got up too fast, and I looked down, I'm like, I'm calculating, she's 50 feet. I got to go left or right to go around her to get down this. But man, at the end of the day, man, I mean, I got around her and made it back safely. But man, I before I even got to that point, I was just like, I took pictures like I'm really out here in the middle of the desert racing. That was it, man.
Oh
There's
yeah.
no there's nothing like that. I tell you, there's nothing like Sons of Speed. There's nothing like Built Well. The two those are the two things I've done in the vintage world, but there's nothing like either one of them.
Yeah, those are huge. I mean, those are huge things, and I'm glad you gave me some time and came on. I definitely appreciate that very much in your time. Because have you ever been a chopper guy?
Man, I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told Randy when I first met him. The only thing, as far as vintage, especially I've always the one thing that I've always wanted was a '70s Sportster chopper. Why? Don't ask me. I don't know. It just stuck out in my mind as a kid. We had a library. I don't know if kids still have libraries now in their schools or not, but um, we had a. I remember there was a chopper book, and there was a twin headlight raked out. I want to say it was a shovel at the time, man. On the front of this book, it was a blue hardcover book, thin book, but I remember that book like yesterday, and because that book and the book of trains, I would always pick up. I don't know how many times I read the books, but I've been through them many times. But I've always been stuck on the '70s chopper thing, man, and I've always just wanted a chopper. And and like I said, my father-in-law was into bikes, and he has a '77 shovel that's been in the family since new. And I've been wanting to get that from him. And he's like, I'm gonna hold on to it for a little while longer, a little while longer. And fast forward to meet my guy Glenn and this whole deal working out, man. You know, it's just kind of coming back, and I'm having the opportunity to get into the chopper, thing. And like I said, even watching, like I said, Billy when he was doing his thing back in, and he still does his thing, but it's just watching those guys over time, man. And now I'm able to try to have a piece of it and try to do it, work on it with myself and some help from my
Yeah.
friends.
Always, I mean, the friends in the chopper community, I've the chopper community and probably is a lot like the vintage community. You have different
Oh yeah, for
communities in the
sure.
motorcycle world, but the chopper guys, man, they're tight, and I know the vintage guys are tight, but everything's just it clicks. You know, once you're in there, and you get the acquaintances, and it's there.
Yeah, yeah. Cause I just did something for a guy, and he was like, "Hey, man, uh, you can get in touch with him. He know how to come over here. Whatever you need, you can help." And picked up another part for one of my guys, and the guy I met, he was like, "Hey." And I showed him the picture of this bike here. He's like, man, if you need anything, I got shovel stuff. My guy Derek's the same way. My guy Jay, even Harley Holmes, he's another one. He's one in on helping with this project, man. And it's just like you said, it's like the vintage world, man. Everybody is willing to help. If they got some parts they can sling at you, they'll sling them. Or could direct you to where some parts are, man. So it's really good.
Yeah.
In the motorcycle community, period. Yeah.
So do you think the choppers are making a comeback?
I don't think they ever left, if you ask me personally. I mean, you might have phases of what's being done, but I don't think it ever left.
That's
Me
that's
personally.
that's been my look at it the whole time. And it's just like it's always been in the background, and they go through phases, but the guys that are building them and the guys
Yeah,
that are chopper guys, they're always there tenfold, and that's what they
yeah.
do.
Like, man, it's yeah. We're not gonna go there. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's about all that I have, except for I was going to ask, what events and rides do you have coming up that someone might be able to catch you
Ooh.
at and catch up with you?
Um. So I think my next event, this is March. I'm gonna be here local. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, so I'll be at the dealer. Actually, tomorrow morning I'll be at the dealership here, um, helping out there. They're having a bike lesson there, so I'll be there next week. The Blackjack Harley Davidson dealership will be. I'll be up there, helping out with their uh, at the Darlington Drag Strip. They're having races, and I'll be there helping out with some stuff. Then October, I'm not October, May, I think 24th, that weekend, I think it's the 24th, will be Sons of Speed will be in Hole in Wall, Tennessee, 45 minutes west of Nashville there at the Tennessee National Speedway. And I'll also be at the inaugural drags up there, dirt drags up in Charlton, Massachusetts. That's Father's Day weekend, that Saturday, I think the 14th and 15th. And also, Sons of Speed will be going west to Durango to, I think it's La
Mm.
Plata, fairgrounds out there. So I'll be out there, might stop in the Davenport race there before we get to that Sunday race in Durango. So we'll be in Davenport at the races. And then October again, you can catch me at Sons of Speed back in New Smyrna.
Nice.
Whatever weekend that is, I'm not sure. Whatever the bike weekend is down there, you will definitely find me in Hohenwald, and you will find me in New Smyrna. I don't care if anything else fall throughout the year. Those two places you can catch me, and I might be at the Damn Show. If I'm not there, but you might need to be there. But
Right.
yeah, so the Damn Show in Detroit, September. Usually I think about the second weekend in September, but yeah,
that's a great
that's
show.
where you can
The
find me.
after.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll be the Damn Show this year for sure. And
Okay, cool.
last year I didn't make the after ride part of it because I went to start up the bike and it decided it didn't want to start, and I didn't want to do a damn walk.
Yeah, a lot of guys. Yeah, it happens every year. Somebody jump on and it don't start. So but it's all good, man. But yeah, like I said, you'll definitely see me at the Sons of Speed and races for sure. You will definitely see me there.
I mean, that's all I got for tonight. I can sit here all night. I can talk motorcycles, builds all night, all that stuff. But I want to come back. I want you to get back to building the motorcycles and not keep you away from your work any longer. Everybody, he's on social media on Can't Stop Vintage Racing,
and you can
over
also
on Instagram.
And you can contact me on that Instagram to get one of these shirts if you like to support. All of my money goes to racing that thing back there. So I'm not just out here frivolously spending money. I'm trying to get to the race.
Good deal. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate your time. So
yeah, for sure.
That's all I got for tonight. We've been pushing it. Took a little bit longer than expected. I told you a half hour, 20 minutes. We're going on an hour.
Hey man, so, I'm good, man. I get on the phone with my guy Derek. I'm like, hey Derek, I just called you to say, hey, this, and we be on the phone an hour, 2 hours. Same thing, my guy Jay, Detroit. Everybody I talk to about motorcycles, it'd be like for a split-second phone call, but it ended up being 30, 40, 2 hours. So I can definitely run on.
Definitely, and I'll reach out to you, stay in touch, and thank you. And I hope to see you out on the road or something. Maybe we'll go to dinner or something if I see you. I'm thinking about going to the 10 Jam. If you come up here to the Detroit show, we'll go out and get some food or something. So
yeah, for sure. We gotta go to Toast in Ferndale though. That's my spot.
Okay, all right, that works.
And I gotta get the Detroit Cookie Company too.
Okay, there we go. All right. Well, that's about it. So I will let you out, and thank you again for coming on.
Man, for sure. Thank you for having me, man.
Yep, no problem. So everybody just make sure and get over there, check out his content, and do all the stuff, like it, all the fun stuff, like, subscribe, follow him, and thank him for coming on the show. Get over there, maybe buy one of those shirts, help him support that vintage racing, because racing ain't cheap, and we're all doing this stuff, and good luck, and let's get chopping. So I'm going to go ahead and let you out back into the basement, and we'll get out of here, okay?
All right, man. You have a good one.
Yep. So that was a great show, and I can't appreciate him enough for coming on. So I'm going to run that outro and get this part of it out here. So everybody that came in, thanks for coming in and checking out the show.
Sweepers.